Can you smell that in the air? Tailgating, fall leaves. College football is back, baby. Next Saturday, week 0 kicks off, which means it's time to prep for the 2025 college football season. We've got our college football preview episode, Best Bet, Futures, National Championship picks, who's going to win the Heisman. We got it all. Join us now. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of IDP Plus Bets. What is up, folks? I'm one of your hosts, the DGen Jock, and I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Derek Bennett, aka Professor Locks. How we doing tonight, brother?
Not too bad, man. We got 9 days before real college football that actually means something. I mean, don't get me wrong. The NFL preseason games.
No. None of that. No. Real football, real meaningful football.
Yes.
Week 0. That is when it starts. Cannot wait. College football, baby.
Yeah,
it's in the air. Fall. It's time for us to take back our weekends, man. Oh, I'm ecstatic. And I'm even more ecstatic because we got a sweet graphic here. Shout out to our graphics department for our 2025 college football betting preview, folks. Look, we are going to talk major injuries that you need to know about across the nation of college football. We are going to talk our top bets. We're each going to give out 2 of our top bets per Power 4 conference. We are going to throw in some G5 bets as well. We're going to go through a couple of our favorite playoff picks and, of course, our national champion. We are in for a very fun episode, folks. So I hope you are just excited as we are. Before we get too far into it, let's talk a little bit of some of the things that have been happening around college football.
Let's do it.
Can I ask you a question?
You may.
Venmo. Is your Venmo public or private?
To be honest with you, I don't use Venmo very often. Cash is king in my book. So it's private, but I don't use it very often.
Well, it's private. That's good. I would advise. I also am a little bit of an old head. I prefer cash. It's a little cleaner, a little bit less of a digital footprint. And that is somewhat relevant nowadays and probably should be advised for day one. Hey, if you're going to send sketchy shit over Venmo as a collegiate athlete, probably make it private, right? So, new quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners, John Mateer, transfer over from Washington State. His is not private. At least it was not. So he was paying for some things that, whatever.
What does a big fat cock go for these days?
I don't know. Yeah. What's the rate? I don't know the rates of these. We've been out of college a little bit now, so don't know what the rates run. But yeah, our boy John Mateer got sniped a little bit. And the most damning thing was sports gambling. And he even included in parentheses, just for the feds to know, UCLA versus USC. Now, he claims it was an inside joke that you and I just don't know.
Okay.
He also did pay this the day after the game on November 20th. So, what say you? Inside joke or what do we do? The Oklahoma Sooners got to worry about their QB1 this season.
I mean, it's definitely not a good look. I mean, to me, either one, good old buddy Richard Roatan, whatever his name was.
Yep.
Is a great friend and is helping a good friend in, degeneracy like you and I like to do from time to time. Or hopefully it was just, a little friendly wager, I guess. That's not necessary. I don't know.
Probably still not allowed, but I will say that.
Probably not.
Obviously, it's our show. We're talking about betting on college football, betting on football. That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's great that he's a fellow DGen. I am not going to hammer him at all for that.
Yep.
But holy shit, dude. Let's be a little bit smarter in the way that we operate. But I would say from the legal perspective, this is probably better than like obviously him having a DraftKings or a FanDuel. Now the hope is that this doesn't.
Yeah, maybe
Well,
either
how are
that
you going to
or
prove
like you're
it?
trying to sneak through the weeds and like
Right.
get
How
around
are you
it. I
going to
don't
prove
know.
it though? Like how can they say for sure that money was on sports gambling? Whereas if it was a DraftKings account and it's tied to him, then he's
Well,
screwed.
sure,
He's dead to
sure,
rights,
and
right?
I'm
So
guessing they'll probably what is it, a subpoena,
good.
Roattens
No,
count.
you really think they're going to do that?
I mean, they 1,000% would in professional leagues, and I don't know why they
Sure.
wouldn't at the college level
Well,
either. At
we
this,
all saw the infamous Connor Stallions manhunt, which is coming to a head Friday.
yep.
Tomorrow, they are going to announce the punishment.
Which is also odd to me why you would like make it this big thing. It's like the LeBron announcement, 15 years ago, where
Right,
it's like, this is the day, this is the
right, right, right,
time,
right, right,
tune
right.
in. It's like,
Yeah. Why are we making this?
just
Yeah,
tell me
just
what
split
the
out.
news is. Yeah,
And at this point, Stallions is gone, Harbaugh is gone,
right,
Shromore already's got suspended, right? So I'm like,
right.
what is it? I mean, we'll
Yeah,
see, but
what are we
I
doing
can't
here?
imagine it's going to be anything, that crazy. I feel like something with a
I
legal
wouldn't think so, but yeah, no. I mean, if QB1 for OU wants to, talk about some degeneracy related things, he's more than welcome to join the pod anytime.
That's with John
Open
Mateer.
open
If you
invitation to the DGen docs
absolutely.
over here on IDP Plus. So
If things don't work out at Oklahoma, just
exactly.
know we can make this a third screen. We'll allow you in the booth with us. We
Yep.
can just make some money.
Yep.
So,
We
but
don't.
no,
We can figure out the whole quad box thing.
we'll get it. We'll figure it out.
Exactly.
We'll make it work. Getting to something else, something a little bit different that I wanted to touch on today. Northern Illinois coach Hammond there, Hammock, excuse me, Thomas Hammock. He was asked a question. I think it was yesterday when this came up about essentially your opinions on NIL and the transfer portal, and all the things that have so much has changed from this great sport where tradition and legacy and everything, sticking it out the 4 years, it was kind of celebrated, and
Yep.
then definitely players taking advantage of.
Sure.
Absolutely, that happened too. Now we're kind of on the other end of the spectrum where it's like free for all, whatever,
Right.
and we got to rein it in a little bit. So his response, I would recommend you go watch the video. It's like a 2-minute video, so we're not going to pull up the whole thing, but we'll pull up, what he kind of said here. And essentially, this in a tweet, he tweeted out, does this guy look like he needs NIL? It's a picture of himself back in the day playing for the Northern Illinois Huskies there. He said the question was asked, what would you change with NIL and the transfer portal? I said I would not change anything. My personal experience of college football, I benefited greatly from the lessons learned from my teammates and coaches. Because essentially, he took the approach of being like, if they want to leave, they can leave. But what people need to realize is that short term, trying to get the short term success or short term fame or any money, that's
Yep.
not going to lead to long term gain. You got to have some sacrifice to allow yourself to get to that point. So, a kind of a controversial subject take in this day and age, but I wanted to get your
Yep.
thoughts on it from Coach Hammond, because I think it was pretty cool of him to kind of stand up and say, you know what, like if those guys want to leave, you have it, but just realize that's
Right.
not how life works.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it. Especially in this day and age, it's kind of an older school line of thinking because
Right.
like you mentioned, players were taken advantage of for years with the amount of money that
Absolutely.
universities and big time TV networks and things were making
Yeah.
off of college football, off of them basically, right? But at the same time, like if the going gets tough, like if I have a bad week at work and I just quit, I can go get another job, but 2 weeks later, I might be like in absolute dog shit, absolute agony because it's even worse. Or,
Yeah.
maybe I'm taking a step back, or,
Yeah.
maybe they were a starter for one of these, MAC schools, Mountain West schools, and they're trying to get to the Power Four conferences, but like you could have been a starter at NIU, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you transfer to Iowa and you're a third string guy. Like,
Right. Or I think one of the biggest things, I can't remember the stat now, but a lot of these guys don't play anywhere.
Right.
Like they go in the transfer portal and nobody picks them up, and then they're done. They
Yeah.
don't play. You're out for the year, and then if you have to maybe try to walk on, or like a
Sure.
lot, you don't hear about that because everyone hears about the Quinn Ewers. We were just watching about Joe Burrow, like the big
Yep.
stuff where the big name
The
guys, a huge
Carson
paycheck.
Becks, the
Right,
yeah,
exact. Carson Beck, exact. Everyone sees those big numbers, but like just like the real world, that's like 1%, maybe less than people getting that type of money, that type of buzz.
yeah,
So us Joe Schmoes, like not everybody's getting that. And so again, it might look pretty to go jump ship and the grass is always greener type deal, but I thought it was a great kind of lesson because why I love football is I think it parallels to life.
right.
And a lot of that, we see it all the time. No, really, some people say it's a generation thing. I think you just see it forever, where you have people that they don't want to do the short term sacrifice, and at the end of the day, the more long term gains come from a little bit of suck, a little bit of sacrifice. Right? We say embrace the
Yep.
suck in the military.
Sure.
So just thought it was a cool old school approach of being like, I don't know how that's going to affect his recruiting and everything like
Yep.
that, but I think
Yep.
having a stance is something like, wow, that's a leader of men. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but let's before we get into more college football, like we'll talk a little bit of injuries because that's what we do as healthcare professionals, both
Right.
being doctors and physical therapists. We'll talk about our best bets. One last thing that's a little bit more on like the legal side, which has been like a highlight in my feeds, mostly in the NFL, but a couple things coming down through college football. Evidently, the rules have changed a little bit in
Right.
college football. Every once in a while we'd have a team that's absolutely blazing down the field, running a play every 15, 20 seconds, it seems.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden somebody on the defense just happens to collapse.
Cramp at the
right,
right time.
yeah, right as the quarterback's getting under center.
Right.
And evidently, the rules have changed. They're starting
Yeah.
to crack down on this faking injuries thing, where once the ball is set, if you go down after the ball is set,
Yeah.
there's going to be some penalties
Yeah. Oh
regarding
yeah.
that. You're going to lose a timeout if you don't have any timeouts. It's basically a delay of game, and the ball gets moved forward 5 yards. So, what are your thoughts on this rule change that's happening just prior to this season kicking off?
Yeah, no. There's like you said, there's a couple rule changes this year. That one highlighted it. They got a couple other minor ones, but this is definitely the biggest one and something that we've seen it's been a problem. It's clearly they're faking it, but how in the way the rules were written before, there's no way to really differentiate. So I think that was really smart by them by the whole after it's set because it's like
Yeah.
you don't want to penalize someone if he's actually injured.
Right.
But if you're actually
Right.
injured, you're not getting up and then collapsing on the ground. And
Right.
if you are injured now, like you better stay down type deal, right? So
Either stay down or get your ass
right. And
over the
this is
sideline.
for both offense and defense, right? If I know teams have done it to avoid a delay a game or get an
Mhm.
extra timeout, right? So it's both sides of the ball, so it
Yep.
fares it up a little bit. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's something that's kind of needed, and it definitely benefits some teams with that play at that higher pace. Those
Oh yeah.
those run and gun teams. That I think that's typically what I'm thinking of. Ole Miss and North Texas and teams like that really like
Right.
to go. So I think it's a really I'm kind of applaud I think it was like the football committee or whatever for kind of do this because they really made it in a way that you can really police this up pretty well.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
but yeah, you talked about it. We are going to talk about our best bets here. Before we do, I got to tell you about it. One of our great sponsors, and that is Mr. Bob Long's Fantasy Football Consistency Guide. If you love football, you probably play fantasy football. So get a leg up on your opponents with Bob's 10th annual edition of the Fantasy Football Consistency Guide for 2025. Purchase yours for a measly $15 on Amazon. Just search 2025 Fantasy Football Consistency Guide. All right, getting into our college football betting preview here. We are going to start with some of those major injuries across the board here. First up, a guy who, many people think could be the first round pick next year, a Heisman hopeful,
Potentially overall first
right?
pick.
QB1, yep. LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. LSU does a good job keeping their injuries under wrap, but it leaked that he was dealing with a knee injury. There was, of course, stuff on Reddit and X talking about ACL, whatever. No, it is patellar tendonitis. It sounds pretty minor. So for those that don't know, why don't you give a brief description of patellar tendonitis, what it is, and how concerned should we be? It looks like he's been dealing with this for at least a week or so. So probably, let's say 4 weeks out from the season.
Yeah, so patellar tendonitis is basically the giant tendon that's going from your kneecap down to your tibia, which is like the shin bone. You have tendonitis, which basically means there's inflammation of the tendon. So typically this happens one of two things. Most likely in this case, it's probably an overuse thing. Sometimes it can be like complete underuse, and then all of a sudden you do something to flare things up.
Right.
But we're talking about a college athlete that's working out and doing things all the time. So this is probably an overuse thing where his tendon just couldn't handle the load that was being placed on it. With any kind of tendonitis kind of stuff, like it's just a pain in the ass, or in this case, a pain in his knee.
Yeah.
Nothing's structurally wrong, like an ACL tear. Like he still has his patellar tendon. It hasn't ruptured, but at the same time, like we went through the Achilles tendonitis related stuff with Christian McCaffrey just a year ago, and he missed considerable amount of time. If it's a mild case of patellar tendonitis, it's probably something that he can play through. Just when he takes off, at a full sprint, or maybe when he's running, or going up and down stairs or something like that. It'll flare up on him, and it's just definitely, very uncomfortable. But it shouldn't necessarily keep him out of games. In my opinion, I think he goes ahead and starts week 1. The bad thing is once the season starts, it's started, and there's no really getting rid of it at that point, or it's really hard to. You have to be really, really patient, and figure out the right amount of load to put through that tendon.
Yeah, and look, college they're a bit they're a lot more secretive, right? They're getting a little bit better with having some injury reports, availability reports. Now the conferences are kind of mandating those, but like Derek said, it's more of a pain management thing. There's a chance if it was truly minor that it may not affect him because he has enough time to rest and stuff.
Right.
But I mean, as fall camp ramps up, they start on the road and Death Valley, right, against Clemson. So that is, he's got to kind of be ready to go there right away. And that's the thing. Right now, not a super concern, but it's just something keeping your back of your mind, because if this does flare up during the season, it's going to be super annoying for Nussmeier. So something to note there. That's why I want to talk about it. Another quarterback who a delusional fan base is talking about. A transfer quarterback who I saw a post today that the offensive coordinator for this team believes they're going to have 2 number 1 picks back to back. That has Miami quarterback Carson Beck there. Now, last time we saw Carson Beck on the football field, his arm blew out. It was, SEC championship game against Texas. And they was throwing a pass, and, boom, as it happens, arm went this way, elbow kept going. That UCL ulnar collateral ligament bust, and he had to have Tommy John surgery, which we famously know for pitchers having Tommy John surgery. But, it can happen sometimes in quarterbacks. Not super often, but it happens. For pitching, these guys can take almost a year to 2 years to come back. Right. Now, football, not exactly the case. It's kind of a little bit hard because there's not a lot of great cases. Reports are that he's been back and he's kind of been throwing, at least within the past couple weeks or so. My question is, how is this something we should be worried about? Like, a lot of times velocity of throwing velocity is what's in question here.
Yep.
So what is your take on it?
Yeah, so typically with UCL reconstruction or Tommy John surgery, this is something where you can start throwing again probably around the 6-month mark. Right. Typically, return to sport timelines are closer to, a year to 18 months when it comes to pitchers.
Right.
When he's coming back in basically 9 months?
Something like that.
9.5 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, baseball motions and throwing motions are similar, but they're not the same. So typically with the throwing motion of a pitcher, you get like that more laid back arm position. You're putting a lot more stress on the inside part of the elbow. With quarterbacks, they kind of lead with their elbow a little bit more, which protects their UCL. But at the same time, to your point, you still can't necessarily say that he can fully trust his elbow at this point. Like, because of the surgery, because of what happened the last time he was on the field, I will have questions early on in the season whether he actually has the zip on the ball that he did, a year or so ago when he was in Georgia. From a velocity standpoint, just an overall arm strength standpoint, I don't know if Carson Beck is exactly where he was a year ago.
And I mean, let's talk. There was psyche of he was having a lot of turnovers. That was a thing at Georgia. And then the psyche of the last time I was on the football field and I tried to throw a ball in a game, my arm exploded. We talk about these with ACLs a lot, but as a quarterback, your arm is much more important than any other player on the field. He's in a new situation and a new offense, and he's going up against one of the best defenses in college football in Notre Dame week 1.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. That's going to be a big test. Just arm, mind, everything. It's a lot of change for Carson Beck. So he's definitely fighting an uphill battle. But, hey, he's back and throwing. So we'll see. Next one here, we'll kind of buzz through the rest of these that a little bit more straightforward. Notre Dame, just talking about him. Right guard Charles Jagusah, who suffered a pec tear last year and missed a whole shit ton of the season until the college football national championship. He was in only shit you see in the Midwest, a utility vehicle accident on July 5th, and he had a humerus fracture. There was like a rollover or something. So he broke his arm essentially. Looks like he's likely to miss the first month or so of the season. Typically, 2 to 3 months for a fracture with that healing, and not something you can really rush with bones, right? So, anything to add there for Jagusah?
Not really. Once that bone's healed, he'll be pretty much ready to go, but just got to wait out.
Yeah, but he is definitely going to be out that week 1 game against Miami, so they will be having a backup at right guard there. So just something to note. Oregon wide receiver Evan Stewart. We talked about patellar tendonitis. This is a patellar tendon tear. Typically about an 8 to 10 month, if not longer, recovery timeline. Done for the season. This is one of their top producing receivers. This blows. I mean, I don't know what you have to add.
Same injury that Josh Simmons, the left tackle for Ohio State, had last year.
Right. Rashawn Slater just had one.
Slater just had it a week or so ago. So
So it's a brutal injury. He's done for the year, unfortunately, but he will not be a factor for Oregon. So I guess we should disclose our allegiances before we get into our bets, but I'm a University of Florida alumni. Went there for undergrad. Go Gators, baby. Love them. Derek and I met at the University of Pittsburgh for our graduate degree, Doctor of Physical Therapy. So we do like Pitt as well.
And I live in the state of the national champion, Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yes, figured we get that out of the way so you can, when it comes to things, if you want to say there's some bias, disclosing our financial whatever they had called
biases.
Yeah, whatever. I've got a financial interest or whatever. But so Florida quarterback DJ Lawgway, a lot of talk about him. He's been in the news about the injury, right? There's all these memes and stupid stuff. He had the shoulder issue, which non-surgical by all accounts, seems like a tendonitis type thing. Past that, then he was seen in a boot. His calf strain guys. They boot these guys a lot in college just out of precaution. Way too much, in our opinion. Really kind of dumb. But it is what it is. So he's back at fall camp. He's been throwing, right? He should be good to go week 1. There's really no concerns there. There's a lot of myth stuff. Now, you can make the argument. He came off a hamstring last year. Now he's got the shoulder and the calf, the whole what's going on. That argument is a separate argument, but as far as, based on what he's got going on, are there any concerns and then week 1, they play Long Island, week 2, USF, and then week 3, they're at LSU. So anything concerning there, especially
not
given
necessarily
week 1.
Concerning based on anything, moving into the season, like you mentioned, more so just that the injuries are starting to pile up with a guy. So.
Yeah, that can definitely be said. But as far as these kind of minor stuff, there's not really expected to be an impact. So don't fall for the fake news there. Last one. This is a kind of big one here. Ole Miss, big news. One of the top transfers, if not the top transfer at the tight end position, Luke Hasz from Arkansas. He, I know a lot of people in the Grove there were very excited about him in Oxford. And it looks like he has a potentially season-ending ankle injury. So obviously he's definitely going to miss significant time. There's maybe looks like a chance he's going to come back. We don't know, of course, in college, they don't always tell you what exactly it was. So there's no real, I had to go through the weeds for this one to even find it. But yeah, there's a chance, definitely won't be there the first, I'd say half of the season, if not the whole. So really just kind of more of a heads up if you're kind of high on this Ole Miss offense because of that tight end, because he was supposed to be their tight end one.
Yeah.
So that is a bit of a loss there.
I don't necessarily have anything else to add to that one, but I think the top tight end transfer that you were looking for is Max Clare out of Purdue that transferred to Ohio State. But
how many wins did Purdue have? You want someone from Purdue? Okay.
I'll take him.
All right. Okay. All right. So good. I'm glad that
51 catches for almost 700 yards and 4 tuds. Yeah, I'll take that.
I'm glad the back and forth has started because I have a feeling when we get to the Big Ten, you might not love my selections here. But here we go. So before we jump right in, I got to tell you guys about idpplus.com. It is our flagship website. Look, if you are watching this episode, you love football. Don't lie to yourself. It's the greatest sport in the world. We love football. Come hang out with us over there, idpplus.com. We're talking football 365, 24/7. We've obviously got college football. We got the NFL. We've got defensive football. We talk football, all 22 positions, all year long. Come hang out with us. Be a subscriber. Getting up subscribers, Discord, and we also have different levels of subscription with subscribers-only content. So check out idpplus.com today. All right, brother. It's a fun time. We are getting into our best bets here, and we are going to start off with the ACC, the Atlantic Coastal Conference, which can maybe be named the All Coast Conference with the addition of Stanford and Cal, but it's the ACC, baby. And any major takeaways on the ACC before we give out our best bets here?
No, I think this is probably the one conference that because I went ahead and selected my champ for the 4 major conferences, and this was probably the easiest selection of the 4.
Okay, yeah, I think I would probably agree with you.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear. I would say the addition of Bill Belichick is going to be fucking electric for college football.
No doubt.
We've talked about the Jourdain stuff and all that comes with it, and his handler maybe. I don't know what's going on there, but I mean it's the goat of one of the goats of coaching for the NFL now moving to the college ranks. How the hell is that going to work out, right? Especially season 1 with the transfer portal, and it's going to be very interesting. So I think that's definitely a story. And then, obviously we can make fun of Miami for never winning an ACC championship. That's always a good time. So
of course,
as a Gators fan, this is a conference I like to do a lot of shit talking because my rivals are in it. But I will be a gracious host and I will let you give out your first best bet for the ACC for this 2025 season.
Yeah. Speaking of Bill Belichick, I'm going to take his over for UNC. Give me the over 7.5 at plus 140. This is a UNC team that it has a lot of changes since last year, including the head coach.
Right.
But they went 6-6 last year. I think they have a much improved roster just based on who they brought in through the transfer portal. And they did bring in a couple pretty good freshmen as well. But I think the biggest thing for UNC is just their schedule. Right now, based on preseason rankings, they have one ranked team on their schedule. And this is a 500 team from last year. And most of the season, they didn't have their QB1 going into last year in Max Johnson, who should be returning. We didn't necessarily cover him with the injury talk, but he broke his femur.
That was nasty.
Had to have surgery. Injury. Absolutely disgusting injury. Ended up having to go back in because of some nerve-related stuff that basically had to put a rod from his hip down to his knee because of his broken femur. In the meantime, that started putting some pressure on some other aspects, and his foot and basically lower leg went completely numb. Since then, he's bounced back. My guess is he'll be the starting quarterback going into week 1. But you know, Bill, he doesn't necessarily let too much leak out. So, you have a veteran quarterback there to lead Bill Belichick's squad. And I do think they'll end up getting a couple extra of wins. Like I said, they only have one ranked team, that's Clemson,
Yeah.
on their schedule moving into it. So I
No.
do like UNC.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think this is one of those teams where I was kind of like, man, I could see a lot of variability. How's Belichick going to vibe with the college kids, whatever, whatever.
Yep.
But man, that schedule, I'm looking at it now. Like, you're right. I mean, you look at that non-con there. You've got at Charlotte,
Yep.
or versus Richmond, the Spiders. You're going to
Yep.
UCF, which was awful last year. You've got, Syracuse, who lost a whole lot, including their quarterback and all their best players.
Yep.
Stanford, their coach just left. Wake
Yep.
Forest is a mess. Like, that is, 4 or 5, 6, like, almost guaranteed wins.
Right.
And you're only talking about needing 2 more. And like you said, TCU will be a tough start, but it's at home.
Right.
Virginia's at home. Duke's at home. Yeah.
Just
I really
schedule
like
wise, I really like it for them. It's always interesting when, NFL coaches come down to the college football ranks. It seems
Right.
like going the other way tends to go better. But when you're talking about the GOAT, I don't know if that necessarily implies,
Yeah.
and I think it's one of those things where if I was a college kid trying to go on to the NFL, like, who better to play for and like
I
just
agree.
really latch onto it than Bill Belichick.
Yeah. If the
So
goal is the National Football League, why would you not? I mean, he knows everything about it, right?
Yep.
No, I like this play. Yeah, this is something that I was kind of, didn't know where I was going to be with.
And even when he was in New England, like, it always sounded like he kind of ran things like a college atmosphere to begin with.
Right.
So I don't know if that's necessarily gonna,
It's true.
Change a whole lot now that he's
It was
actually at the college ranks.
Very authoritarian, right? I
Right.
saw a video of Pete Carroll. They asked him what's the difference between coaching styles, and he kind of went through this really good video.
Right.
But yeah, he definitely ran it kind of like my word is the law, and that's how
Right.
a lot of successful college coaches did it. Urban
Yep.
Meyer, some at Saban that maybe didn't have success in the NFL. So that's a great point. All right, since I've only got 2 and you've got a couple more for this conference, I'll give out one that I think you're gonna like here. We're gonna have to, like, again, disclosure, whatever, but I don't even think this is a homer pick. Give me the University of Pittsburgh Pitt Panthers over 6.5 wins, plus 115 over on DraftKings here. Look, this is a team that started off super hot, obviously 7-0, right? We're riding high and then crashed down, losing 5 and then 6 in the bowl game, right? Yeah. 5 in a row. But they did cast their over of 6.5 last year for us, which was good. But look, a couple things here. When we talk about what was going right and what kind of went wrong there, starts and ends with the quarterback, Eli Holstein, transfer from Alabama. Dude, he looked good. He was playing well. He was confident. You had that Cade Bell offense coming from Western Carolina there, FCS program, and things were sparking. And then he got injured, and that's where things kind of came off the walls. The backup quarterback situation wasn't good. And, I will say their level of competition obviously did step up, but when your quarterback's hurt and out of the lineup, that's obviously going to throw things off. But you bring back Holstein, you bring back Desmond Reed, who, if you've not seen this kid, man, he is, 5 foot nothing, but he is electric, one of the best running backs in all of college football. And it's great that he came from an FCS and now he's getting a showcase out. I'm telling you, this kid is good. So when you have starters back on the offensive line and you have 2 dynamic, quarterback, running back, I think that sets you up well. And then this linebacking core is one of the best in the nation. Right.
And that's, I'm going to co-sign this one. This is one of my best bets as well. And I think, to your point, like, Narduzzi and just that defense in general,
that's what he does, man.
I mean, there's a solid floor. It's going to be one of the best defenses, at least in the ACC, if not all of college football. Right. So if also adding Holstein back into the mix, you got a couple of dynamic weapons at running back and wide receiver. So I think
defense, is solid. You don't have to worry about defense for Pitt. No. It's at least in the Narduzzi era, like, that has been a staple. It's the offense. It's like when sometimes they're dog shit, and that's where you get some trouble, and sometimes they're really good, and then you get the ACC championships, like with Kenny Pickett. So I think Holstein, he's got a little bit of mobility. He's a big boy. I think that he is got some of that stuff, and I like them to just get over at least 6.5 again. And then looking at their non-con, Duquesne, Central Michigan, Dub V, and then Notre Dame obviously is a tough one, but Dub V, first-year coach with Rich Rod, their running back just got ruled ineligible for the season. They've got a lot of changeover to go through, and they avoid Clemson, they avoid SMU, they got a lot of continuity. For a lot of reasons, I think that they can easily pop over 6.5 there.
Completely agree.
All right, so you took that as one as well, so I'll send it back to you. What is another play here?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and lump Notre Dame into the ACC because in most sports, they are an ACC school. But let's talk about Notre Dame real quick. Give me the over 10.5 wins for the reigning, runner-up national or whatever. At plus 115. So last year they were 11-1, made their way through the college football playoff until they ran into a buzzsaw in the championship game. But I just have complete belief in what Freeman's doing over there. And
I love Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, he's a dude and
great coach, man.
I think it's one of those things where we'll know how good Notre Dame is within the first 2 weeks because they start with
at Miami,
and then they have Texas A&M at home. So other than that, then they have Purdue, go to Arkansas. They have Boise, who's always a tough out, and then other than that, they have USC as usual as a rival, but other than that, there aren't any other teams on there that necessarily scare me against that. Yes, Pitt could pull an upset, or NC State maybe, the Fighting Wolf Pack, but come on, I think if they can get past their first 2 weeks, this is going to be an easily 11-1, 12-0 type of a season for the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, they do bring a lot back. You gotta love their running back room. It's up them and Penn State between the best running back room in the country. I think Jeremiah Love's an absolute stud. The lot come back on defense. The offensive line is always very good. I think the question is the quarterback. I know it's a quarterback battle right now. You've got the freshman and the transfer. So that's the question for me is, are they going to be having those games 2 weeks? Talk about we maybe won't. I'm not that high on Miami. We talked about Carson Beck. I think they're a little bit of fool's gold. But that defense was atrocious, and I think they're going to be bad again. I think they take a step back at quarterback and wide receiver. Big step back. But having your biggest tests right up front with A&M is going to be a tough test at home. So that's a little bit where I'm not co-signing, backing that one, but I'm not, I definitely see the path.
Yeah.
Like you said, if they can at least go 1-1 and figure some things out in the first 2 weeks, and then they can kind of get rolling. This is definitely a team. We just saw it. They were just in the national championship.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think it's if they start 0-2 is the only, or obviously that's they'll go under. But even if they split those, if they go down to Miami and lose, I can see them running the table, or if they get upset by Texas A&M, because Boise's at home, Navy's at home, USC's at home, NC State's at home. Their away schedule is pretty light.
Overall, and Miami will probably be rocking because of they're a very front runner program. But that's not the most.
Well, and it's prime time on a Sunday too. So.
Right, but there's gonna be Notre Dame fans there.
Oh yeah,
it's not gonna be some massive hostile environment that they can be out there. So I will say I would favor them in both those games the week 2, and then from that point you're pretty gravy if you go 2-0.
Right.
So I like it. All right, I am now. There's a lot of overs, so we have to bring some reality here. Give me the Florida State Seaman Holes. Seaman Holes. Under 6.5 win, plus 125 over at DraftKings. What are we doing, guys? This is a 2-10 team last season. They have a quarterback who is on his 3rd team in 4 years. He can barely see over the line of scrimmage. He's talking shit and throwing his past team under the bus already when he's got Bama on deck, giving them all the rat poison they could need. And need I mind you, this kid is at 10-10 as a starting quarterback. He's 4-8 against the rest of the ACC. So we have a team coming from an absolute dumpster fire situation. We have a kid who is on his 3rd team in 4 years. He was benched at Boston College, but now he's supposed to elevate this team. How do you think a team of mercenaries, we saw it work great 2 years ago, then we saw it be terrible last year. Well, I think the biggest difference is when you look at them 2 years ago when they were almost made the CFP and the committee made the correct decision to keep them out. They had Jordan Travis. They
Yeah.
had that key piece of like he's
Yeah.
been there. He's the continuity. Then you
Right.
bring in DJU as a rental. That didn't work out. Now you're
Right.
bringing in another rental who couldn't even start at Boston College. So when they get their ass kicked by Bama by 30 in week 1, I'm supposed to expect Thomas Castellanos and Mike Norvell to rally this locker room of mercenaries who are just here for the
Right.
bag. So I think this is crazy. Give me the under 6.5 here. Again, I can only hope they're as bad as they were last year. I don't think they're going to be 2 wins bad, but
Yep.
they play Bama, they play Miami, they play Clemson, they play Florida, all top 15 teams. And, again, this is 75% of the roster. If you look at it, it's a bunch of transfers.
Yep.
Like that continuity piece that we talk about that keeps the locker room together, that's not there.
Nope.
And I think if they get kicked in the mouth early, like a game R against Bama week 1, I think we're going to start to see some cracks. And obviously, as we saw last year, things can go off the rails pretty quick there. So,
Yep.
especially at the plus money, I love the under 6.5 there.
Yeah, I don't mind that. No, don't mind it at all. I'm just always worried when we start talking Florida State or Miami, where your biases start to come in there. So I'm not going to be on that one. But I definitely see your point, and I could definitely see that one hitting.
All right, you got one more play for the ACC?
Yeah, like I said, I went ahead and picked the champ from each conference, and ACC champ's gonna be Clemson. Like they have 16 returning starters.
Right.
They have the best defensive line in football. They have 4 returning starters on the offensive line. They return their quarterback. Like all of the key positions that we talk about all the time, from up front, the defensive line, offensive line, quarterback, like everybody's returned. Obviously, you still have Dabo as one of the best college football coaches in the country. I just don't
bought
see
in a couple transfers, changing
true.
his philosophy, which is
Yep.
a good step of progress.
Yeah. So I just don't see where anybody else in the ACC has the talent or just continuity of talent that Clemson has. And I really think that they run away with it. I mean, schedule wise, their 2 toughest games, in my opinion, are both non-con, and that's LSU and finishing out with South Carolina. So, I mean, they do have SMU, but it's at home.
Right.
So other than that, I mean, even if the Florida State Seminoles, Seaman Holes, whatever you call them,
Seaman Holes, yes,
end up being decent, like they have them at home as well. So they only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 road games, and one of those is a non-con. So that won't even count towards the ACC championship stuff. So
no, I love it. Yeah, I will. I'll save some of my Clemson talk for later because surprise, may come up later for me. But this Clemson team, I think getting them at plus money, plus 105 there at DraftKings for the ACC, I think is a steal. Yes. I don't think anyone comes close to them as far as So love it. All right, we are moving on to the Big 10 now, which is what, Big 18 or something like that.
Back-to-back national championship.
Okay. Yep. Back-to-back national champions here. Now the bias is going to start to shift. You'll notice in the show.
I don't know about that.
Okay. How many plays do you have for the Big 10?
3.
3. Okay. So you got
2.5. I'll say 2.5.
2.5. All right. So you want to do it as 2, or I'll start this one off then.
Go for it.
Let's get it out of the way. Ohio State Buckeyes under 10.5 wins, minus 134 over on FanDuel. Look, I think you're a realistic Buckeyes fan who's fat and happy off of a national championship. Hangover of the national championship is a thing. You lost both your offensive and your defensive coordinators. You bring in, your offensive coordinator and Hartline is a first-time coordinator. Great recruiter, great wide receiver, right? But first time calling plays. You have a first-time starting quarterback in Julian Sayin, who is definitely talented, right? But we've seen talented people not work out, especially early. Lost key pieces at the running back position, 2 draft picks, 2 studs. You bring in some transfers, but I think, the caliber is not the same. O-line, you had a couple first-round draft picks get drafted. D-line, last year was your year. And they paid a shit ton of money to keep that team together. and it paid off. You got
Yep.
the national championship. I just think that for them to then run it back and only have the margin of 2 games with that schedule is tough. You start with Texas, who's the number 1 overall team, right? We can talk about preseason rankings. I don't think they
In
mean
the shoe.
but that's true. You do have them at home, but then you go to at Illinois. You then got Penn State, who's another darling, people picking national champion.
In the shoe.
Correct. So you got 2 hard games, but you're at Illinois and you're at Michigan, which been a couple years since you've been beat that team there at their place. And again, Illinois, I think, is a Michigan light who supposedly Altmaier is supposed to be a guy at quarterback. I still need to see it from him, but you've got 4 games and you can only lose one of them, right? And that's right. One of them is right away. So, usually I'd say Ohio State, really good home field advantage.
Yep.
That game for me is a coin flip because it's week 1 and you got a guy in a new system with new coordinators and how that's going to look. So, again, I'm not going to say that they're going to be terrible. They probably still have a good chance of making the playoff as an at-large bid, but I think 10-2 is like a good season for them. I don't even think that's like a terrible fall off coming off of the national championship. So yeah, give me the under there. You're paying a little juice, -134, but I think it's worth it. I think there's a lot more scenarios where Ohio State finishes with at least 2 losses this year.
Can I rebuttal?
Go ahead.
I'm not necessarily completely against this. If I wasn't a fan, I would probably take that side, but I can't.
Definitely can't. You definitely can't bet on it again. I understand that. You definitely can't. But
yeah, I mean, I think the biggest weak point that I see going into the season is definitely the defensive line. Like they lost some studs up front this past year. Running back is a little bit of a concern, but I think overall their offense is still going to be humming. Defensively,
wide receivers are so good.
Their wide receivers are so good. I really think that Julian Satan's going to step in and be perfectly fine.
Right.
From an offensive coordinator standpoint, yes, Hartline, it's his first year being the offensive coordinator. He's been with Ryan Day for years, and Ryan Day called the plays up until this year. I can't see where, Ryan Day's going to let him just like do his own thing completely and not have a little bit of him in his playbook, right?
Right.
From a defensive side of things, you got Matt Patricia stepping in as the DC, very well-known DC at the NFL side of things. Their back end is still going to be one of the best in the league.
Caleb Downs is a stud.
Caleb Downs is probably the best defensive player in the nation.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Sonny Styles at linebackers is an absolute dog. But yeah, defensive line, it's just a bunch of unproven guys. They have a couple studs, hanging in the wings that'll finally get their shot. But Texas definitely scares me. Penn State definitely scares me. Obviously, it's been a few years since they beat Michigan, so that one's still a little touchy. The other one, I'm not necessarily going to say Illinois would be the 4th game for me. It's the trip out to Washington.
Yeah.
That could be the potential.
That's a tough trip, man. That is a tough trip out there.
Yeah,
so.
they didn't fare too well last year when they made the trip out west. So that one's just kind of one coming off the bye. You play Ohio, have a bye, then go out to Washington. And that just, to me, just sounds funky.
It's a sleepy spot for sure.
Yeah. So I think it's just, if they can get past Texas, I think they go over it. If not,
yeah.
I
like it. I like the honesty. I like the honesty. All right. What do you got? What's your first play?
Yeah. Let's talk about one of the worst teams in the Big Ten last year in Maryland. Okay. I'm taking Maryland's over 4.5 at +110.
Over? Like
They're
OVE. I heard you correctly. For Maryland.
Maryland.
Football.
They were 4-8 last year, so they have to win one more game.
More game
than they did last year. But I've always liked Mike Locksley. He's just been one of those dudes that I don't know why, but he seems like a cool dude and seems like a guy that I would like to play for if I was any good at football. But the big thing for Maryland is they somehow escaped all 3 of the big dogs. They don't
That's
play
true.
Ohio State. They don't play Penn
Good
State.
point.
They don't play Oregon.
That's a good point.
So, out in their non-con, they have FAU, Northern Illinois,
Right.
and Towson. So nothing, terribly difficult in the non-con. A couple games that I could still see being games and potentially losses, but
Winnable for sure.
yeah. But other than that, I mean, yes, they have Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, but they're all towards the back end of the season. I could definitely see them pulling out some wins along the way against Rutgers or UCLA. I think
Yeah.
Wisconsin's going to be pretty bad this year, to be honest with you.
It's a revenge game. They've
And
got
then they have Michigan State at the end of the year. So
yeah, I mean Wisconsin, they've been trash the last couple of years ever since Fickle went over there, and now the quarterback is Billy Edwards, who transferred from Maryland. So
yep,
they know how he thinks, right? So that's
that's right.
I mean, look, I think Maryland might be dog shit, but
I think they
they've
have the
got a
easiest schedule in the
super
Big Ten.
low. Yeah, they've got a super low win total. They've
Yep.
got a very, very, I'll say this: if Loxley does not win at least 5 games, he's got to get fired. Like, there's no way. I'm not gonna drill you because I mean it's a really good schedule, and it starts out easy. And again, you said they avoided Ohio State, they avoided Penn State, they avoided Oregon. So, all right, I'll let you slide. I was shocked though. I'm shocked, genuinely. All right, I'm gonna go. Let's talk about Washington. Let's talk about those Huskies out west. Over 7.5 plus 110 over on DraftKings. Yeah, this is a team that I was looking to fade last year. They did cast the under for me just barely though. Very kind of sweaty bet there. I've been very impressed. Desmond Williams there, quarterback. So they came in, they had Will Rogers, and he was hit and miss and up and down and whatever. And then Desmond Williams, last couple games of the season, he stepped in, and man, this kid looked electric. And he didn't look electric against bad competition.
Right.
He played Oregon, which is obviously a very tough. Didn't get the win there, but in the bowl game, he absolutely balled out. He had 4 touchdowns. This is a guy who I think the sky's the limit for him.
Yep.
And the nice thing about a younger quarterback is he's going to go into this season having one of the best running backs next to him in the nation in Jonah Coleman. 1,000 yards last season. Now he comes back and he's been a dude for several years. So that 35 to 34 game against Louisville where he went for 374 in the air, 48 yards on the ground did Williams, and just an absolute stud. So I think these two are an absolutely electric duo. And then you have a schedule where 3 out of their 4 hard games on this schedule are at home. So, they play, you mentioned it, Ohio State, Illinois, and Oregon at home. Right now, Oregon obviously is not a very far trip, but for Ohio State and Illinois, it's not an easy trip. As we saw, like those teams did not fare well going out to the West Coast from the East Coast. So if you're gonna, get some guys that are a little bit of bunch your punching weight there, it's nice to have a little bit of home field advantage. So I really like Washington this year. I think they're a sleeper team, and I think Desmond Williams, like he's got the shot to be one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. Like I would not be surprised, or excuse me, the collegiate NCAA. But I would not be surprised if Desmond Williams is a household name by the end of the season. So I'm going to go over 7.5 there for them.
I don't mind that one. Let me talk about the other, Northwest team in the Big Ten in the Oregon Ducks.
Okay.
Give me their over 10.5 at plus 140.
Going for the big dogs.
I think just in general, Oregon's roster is still stacked. Obviously, their biggest question is who's going to be the starting quarterback after losing Dylan Gabriel. But looking at their schedule, like, yes, you have to travel to Penn State in the middle or kind of towards the end of September, but it's a night game. So for them, it's going to be like playing a game at, 3. And then the next week, they have Kurt Signetti in the Indiana Hoosiers at home. Other than that, like, I think they walk over USC. I think they walk over Washington. I think every other team doesn't necessarily look like much of a threat for Oregon. But yeah, I think having Penn State as a night game, even though it's in Happy Valley, like I think that the Dylan Lanning and the Ducks will be ready for that one. And again, yes, it is a night game. For them, it's mid-afternoon games. It's not like East Coast going to West Coast. I think that's personally harder unless you have that like noon kickoff. So I think just overall their schedule, the roster is still solid, and Dylan Lanning is, I think, one of the best coaches in college football.
Lanning's been nice coming over from Georgia there. Dante Moore, the expected starter for them, a very high regarded recruit and things like that. So we'll see. They definitely are going to have the most, outside of maybe Penn State, they're going to have the most talent on the field. They're going to have the speed. They, a lot of those guys are coming back from
whoa. Outside of Penn State.
I'm talking about on their
schedule. On their schedule. Okay.
We're not just comparing dicks here for nothing. Come on. I'm talking about the schedule. So, all right. Did you have another play for the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think Oregon repeats as the Big Ten champs at plus 320. I think
it's in a dome. They do play it in a dome.
I think it's in a dome. I would not be surprised if the Buckeyes end up coming in as one of those at-large bids again into the CFP. And it's kind of a rematch, Penn State, Oregon, for it all in Indianapolis come middle of December. But I think Oregon just has a little bit too much for Penn State. I think if Penn State is able to knock them off that whatever that is, week 5, that week 5 game, like it's going to be different at a neutral site in Indiana. In a dome. So I give me the Oregon Ducks to repeat as Big Ten champs.
Yeah, you're taking all these high win totals here. I will say, watch out for the at Iowa game. If they if it's pretty cold over there in Kinnick Stadium, all I'm saying, watch out.
They score 13 points. They can do that.
All right, that wraps up the Big Ten. We are now heading on over to the SEC. We got the SEC, we got the Big 12. We'll talk about playoffs, national championship, and then we will get on out of here, folks. All right, heading over to a conference where it just means more. The SEC. And I think SEC big picture wise, you've got obviously a shit ton of teams ranked in the preseason top 25. Yep. Look, ESPN puts that out. SEC owns, or ESPN owns the SEC. So even as a Florida Gators fan, I can admit there is SEC bias is very much a thing. So, like a lot of times you're going to see everyone in the SEC has the hardest schedule. It's a bit inflated. So I can even admit that. So, but it is a conference where you've got a lot of top dogs. You got a lot of teams. You got Texas, the number 1 overall team projected, right? So it's going to be exciting. And you've got a lot of teams in there. So let's talk about it right now. How many plays? You got 3? Same thing? Okay.
Yep.
I'll let you start it out there. Why don't you tell us about your first play for the SEC?
Let's talk about Tennessee. A team that last time they were on the field, they got absolutely destroyed in Columbus, Ohio. But
that was such an easy game to read.
Yes, it was. Yeah, give me Tennessee's under 8.5 at minus 145.
Yep.
I think the biggest thing for me is like, one, obviously they have a really tough schedule being in the SEC. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, yes, there might be some bias, but there's a lot of really good teams in the SEC. But they have a quarterback. But Nico's gone.
Right.
He's out at UCLA.
They traded.
Yeah. And I can't remember what the guy's name is.
Joey Aguilar.
Thank you. Transferred in from App State, and last year his completion percentage was 55%.
Yep.
That does not lead to success, in my opinion. especially for a Tennessee team that likes to go up pace. I can see a lot of things going wrong if your quarterback's throwing for 55%. In that style of an offense, and yes, they have Bama, they have Georgia, they have your Gators, and they have to play Oklahoma throughout the
Yep.
year. So I think those are 4 losses just there. And especially the way that they like to play offense, unless this quarterback has developed a lot in the past year, I can see some things going wrong and things starting to get ugly
Oh
pretty
yeah.
quickly, with some of these other teams that are in the SEC where, if you don't play up to the standard that you're supposed to, you can get beat almost any Saturday. So, yeah,
Yeah.
give me the under for Tennessee.
I think Tennessee. Yeah. No. I mean, I almost played this myself, but man, I do have money on this. This isn't going to be an official play given out today for me, but I think Tennessee is one of the most overrated teams in the country right now. I don't think they should be ranked.
Yep.
They think this is way too high of a win total.
Yep.
I don't think they were that good last year, even with
Samson's
Nico.
gone. A couple of their stud defensive
Samson,
lines are gone.
yeah,
So,
defense. Look, they're gonna have another solid defense. I'll give them that.
yep.
But you just talked about it. Like this is another team that loves to play fast, right? This Josh Heupel offense. They're gonna be go 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 go. The
Yep.
worst thing you can do is have an inaccurate quarterback that 3 and out, 3 and out. Like one way to kind of negate a good defense is to send them back on the field every freaking couple 3 plays.
Right.
So yeah, I think I got massive. I had questions at the quarterback position before Nico left. Now I've got even bigger questions. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love this play there. So yeah, absolutely Tennessee under. I will be talking about their arch rivals there. Well, at least their in-state rivals, and that is the Vanderbilt Commodores there.
Okay.
Give me Vandy over 5.5 plus 135 over on DraftKings. Of course, I have to support my boy Diego Pavia. All right. Anyone who is willing to openly piss on their rival's logo is the guy that I'm gonna back. Okay. Former, state champ wrestler
Yeah.
coming over from New Mexico. And New Mexico State there. And dude, first of all, I don't know if you've seen that Netflix that Any Given
Yeah.
Saturday or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, that SEC dude. How do you not root for this kid? He is such a baller. He literally sued the NCAA just so he could play another year of college football.
Yeah.
Like,
I
tell me
mean,
that kid doesn't want it.
well, he's like 28 years old, but yeah,
Well, I mean, yeah, whatever. We're not talking about his NFL potential. We're talking about this year, them going six
right.
and six. They were 6-6 last year. The core of the offense and the defense has stayed together.
Right.
I think they bought into Clark Lee, who, let's be honest, I mean, that was a tough sell when they were
Yeah.
the doormat of the SEC for so long. Now, they beat Bama. That's an easy kind of way to, hey, look, we can buy and get some confidence. They've got 3 hard games that I'm going to say, all right, yes, chalk those up as L's. But I think the rest of their schedule is very winnable. So, yes, they're going at Alabama with revenge on the mind. That's an L. They're going
That's going to be a loss by 50.
Yeah. They're going to South Carolina. That is going to be a very tough game. That's going to be, very hard to win there. And then they're going at number 1 Texas. Yes. Okay. That's going to be an L there. They play LSU and they play Tennessee. I'm going to talk about those 2 teams that I'm personally not as high on. And those games are at home. So I think they got a little bit better of a shot there. But yeah, Eli Stowers is, if he's not already, he's going to be a household name. One of the best tight ends of the nation, if not the best tight end. And this guy just plays hard. He's a winner. I'm going to back Diego Pavia any way I can. Maybe this is the last year we can do it. We'll see. But give me Vandy over 5.5 wins there.
Don't mind that one. Let's go down to Auburn next. Give me the Auburn under 7.5 at plus 135.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean they were 5-7 last year. They do return 4 out of their 5 offensive linemen, but other than that, like I don't know if there's a whole lot else to necessarily get excited for with Auburn. I mean they still have to play Bama, Georgia, A&M, Oklahoma. Non-con wise, I think Baylor could knock them off.
Oh yeah.
So Auburn is just one of those teams where they're sneaky, but they're just find ways to lose games,
Especially under Hugh Feast, man. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly. So yeah, give me the under for Auburn.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I love that play. Jackson Arnold, quarterback coming over from Oklahoma.
Yep.
First of all, he was a huge recruit, high, 5-star guy, whatever, had all the expectations. He looked awful. Now, granted, Oklahoma's had like no wide receivers in O-line because everyone was injured.
Right.
But I mean, Auburn is not this juggernaut. They have Cam Colin, who's a stud,
Yep.
absolute stud, one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. But I got questions at quarterback, man.
College football. We're talking college football, not national football.
What did I say? Damn, I gotta get in the season here. All this football, but no, yeah. Look, so you talked about it, but this schedule's tough. At Baylor right away to you got to figure it out. Like Baylor's a damn good team for a night game. That's a tough environment.
Yep.
Then you have a stretch of at Oklahoma, which is a revenge game for the quarterback. Right, they're gonna be pissed. The defense gonna know them. Then you have a back-to-back road spot at Texas A&M, and then you come home to play Georgia. Right. So if you drop the Baylor game, let's say they beat Ball State, they beat South Alabama at home, and then you could easily lose all three of those games and be 2-4 or 3-3. Like that's a tough spot to be in as a coach who's already on the hot seat, as a quarterback who's coming in with all that pressure. And Auburn, they don't mess around down there. Like if you're not playing well, these fans are going to let you know it. So I think this has a lot of potential to go bad, more so than good there. Especially, I don't think this is a 3-win team better than last season. So I love that play there. Another team I'm going to be under on LSU, under 8.5, plus 134 over on FanDuel. This is an 8-4 team last season. They play 7 ranked opponents on their schedule, including at Clemson week 1, at Ole Miss, at Bama, and at Oklahoma. This is a young offensive line. They lost their tight end number 1. They lost their wide receiver 1 in Kyron Lacey. They lost their left tackle in Will Clapp. Like these are not like scrub guys. These are first, second round guys, like very formidable guys to the draft. And then every single year we have questions on the defense. It was a question last year. Can Brian Kelly fix this defense? What has he shown us that he has any capability of fixing this situation? I don't understand all the hype they're getting. Similar to Auburn, at least they won 8 games last year, but still, like this team was not very good. Their defense could not stop anything. And I think, the first 3 weeks they play Clemson and they play Florida. They play my Gators there. I think it could potentially go south pretty damn quickly there. Again, we talked about Garrett Nussmeier and that injury, but I do not think that they have a defense that is going to take them to be one of the top teams in the SEC. Agreed. And that's really where it comes down to. Like, yes, Garrett Nussmeier is a good quarterback, but I mean, let's be honest, the Gators made him look pretty pedestrian last year. So I'm not even giving the Gators game as a loss for them because it's at home. But I could see this team going, 6-6. They got a tough schedule, and their defense has shown me nothing under Brian Kelly.
Yep. No, I completely agree. And which kind of leads me into my last bet, unless you have anything else to talk about.
On you. Yeah.
Only thing left that I have is my SEC champ, and I think it's going to be the Alabama Tide. I think Kalen DeBoer coming in as a second-year guy down in Alabama this Bama team is going to be a little bit different than the 9-3 team that they had last year. I mean, last year they did end up beating Georgia at home, then they went and got completely demoralized against Vandy. That's not going to happen again. I think their biggest test will be at Georgia in week 4. And then you go to Vandy, or you have Vandy at home. I think that's going to be a 50-point win. And then you go to Mizzou, and then you have a 4-game stretch where you have a preseason ranked teams in Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, and Oklahoma. Only one of those games is on the road, and that's at South Carolina. I don't think Tennessee is going to be very good.
Nope.
You got LSU at home. So if this was in Death Valley, obviously that could always be a little bit different.
Right.
Although they got they absolutely crushed them last year.
They really did. Yeah.
And then you got Oklahoma, which, I think I still have some questions with Oklahoma after their offense that they put on the field last year. So,
Yeah.
Georgia is the one that's like, yeah, I could definitely see that one as a loss. The other four, I definitely have them favored against Tennessee,
I
South
like Bama.
Carolina, even at South Carolina, LSU, and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Obviously, you never know what's going to happen in the Egg Bowl to end the year,
I was like Egg Bowl.
Iron Bowl,
Yeah.
Iron Bowl to end the year at Auburn. But at the same time, like if they can just sneak into the SEC championship, like they got a shot. And when it comes to the SEC, like you just have to get there, and it's going to be one of those like 50-50 type games. So give me the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, plus 380. I like the price. You talked about DeBoer, whatever. I think he's a really good coach, and I think last year, like Jalen Milroe was not the quarterback he's used to.
Nope.
When you look at Michael Penix, when you look at some of the guys he's had, like he needs that pocket passer,
Right.
And I think Ty Simpson fits that bill a lot more. So I think that offense there, I think they're bringing back Grubbs there from Washington for the offense coordinator. So, I think that the things are going to look a lot better this season. And I mean, look, they didn't have a bad year last year. But Milroe is an excellent athlete, awesome player. I just don't really think he fit that system, and you saw it sometimes last year. So I like Bama this year.
And I think they match up with both Georgia and Texas pretty well. I mean, they have 8 guys returning on defense. They should have probably the best defense in the SEC.
Yeah, no, I like it, especially at the price. So, all right, that wraps up the SEC. We've got the Big 12 playoffs and our national championship. But before we do that, I got to tell you guys about Fast Draft Fantasy. That's right, Fast Draft Fantasy. It's in the name, folks. You got to start drafting faster today over at Fast Draft Fantasy. Nobody wants to wait on somebody to who they're going to draft, blah, blah, blah. Time is money, and Fast Draft Fantasy knows that. 20 seconds on the clock, no draft longer than 10 minutes. Go ahead, download Fast Draft Fantasy, use the promo code plus DGenDoc and get up to a $50 deposit today. All right, one more Power 5 conference to get through here is the Big 12, which of course no longer has 12 teams in it. I think they're 14, 16, something like that. They got a lot. So Big 12, we are heading out. Well, I don't even know where because they're all over the place. So the Midwest, but kind of the Midwest, and Florida and a couple other weird spots.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you got 3 here as well.
Just a couple this time.
Just 2. All right. So I'll lead us off. I'm gonna go with K-State under 8.5 wins, -105 over on DraftKings. 8-4 last season. They get hyped up the past several years, and look, they're not a bad team, but I'm not a believer in Avery Johnson. I don't think he's done anything to say that he's one of these elite premier quarterbacks in college football. Especially on the road. Now, Manhattan, Kansas is one of the best environments, like the Little Apple there. They have a great home environment. But when we look about, and he played anybody worth a sniff on the road. So he played at BYU, 38-9 loss. They played at Tulane in week 2, and they really should have lost. If you remember, that game was crazy. It was a 7-point game, and they really should have lost that game. Then he plays at Houston, who was a terrible team last year, lost 24-19. And then at Iowa State, 8-point loss, 29-21. I don't think that he is a quarterback who you can trust to put the game on his shoulders. And they have a situation where they lost their most dynamic player in their RB1 and DJ Gittins last year. And they have some more hostile road spots. They start off in Dublin against Iowa State. That's obviously, we'll call that a neutral, whatever. Right. And then, they play at Baylor, at Kansas, at Oklahoma State, and at Utah. I'd say Baylor and Utah are probably 2 of the hardest environments in the Big 12. Kansas just got a new stadium. They're looking to kind of, revamp there. I think this is a tough schedule, and I don't think they have a quarterback that I really can trust to get to 9 wins. I mean, that's a tough situation. Like the Big 12 is known for cannibalizing itself. To get 9 wins in the Big 12, you got to be a damn good team. And losing their most explosive guy in Giddens, and I just don't think Avery Johnson is the guy. So that's what I'm going with.
Okay, I see you. As a Pitt guy, this kind of pains me, but give me the boys down in Morgantown. Give me their over.
Over on overdoses, over on fentanyl. What are you talking? Over on teeth? Definitely not teeth.
Probably those plus. I'm going to take their over wins as well.
Okay.
So give me their over 5.5. Rich Rod's back, dude. Last time Rich Rod was in West Virginia, like he had that program humming. Now, they've got a couple of they
don't got Steve Slayton and fucking coming through Pat White.
Pat White, right. But at the same time, I do think that their schedule just is pretty solid, to be honest with you. I mean, yes, they have the backyard brawl in week 3, but going into that, you have Robert Morris in Ohio. Right. Which it's amazing that West Virginia is going to Ohio, personally. That's wild. But they do have to play at Pitt. But then they have Pitt at home. Sorry. They have Utah at home. They have TCU at home. They have Colorado at home. And they have Texas Tech at home. The only road game that really is kind of a toss-up to me is probably, a couple of them. Arizona State,
right,
obviously, and then probably Kansas. Kansas can be sneaky at home as well. But I think between your non-con Robert Morris in Ohio, UCF I don't think is very good. Houston I don't think is very good. I think Colorado is going to take a step back. TCU, again, you got them at home, so I do think they're able to find their way into a bowl game at kind of that 6-6 mark. So, like I said, give me their over.
Well, I want to make it known I am not co-signing this. I disagree with this play. This is a disgusting act by you. It is a low floor. Rich Rod is a good coach. I will say he runs a very specific offense that you really need some timing on. So will I be betting on Ohio on the money line to get the upset? Absolutely. So early in the season, they could potentially have some issues, but like you said, it's 6-6 for the team. I don't think is out of the realm of possibilities. So I'm just that's the nicest thing I'm gonna say. So we're gonna move on. All right. I am going to go back to the Dublin game, and I'm going to take the other side on the over. Give me Iowa State over 7.5 at plus 115 over on DraftKings. Matt Campbell, one of the best coaches in in college football. I apologize. Great coach, coming off a 10-3 season. They lost, obviously, in the Big 12 championship. They were right there, but they bring back their quarterback. They bring back their running back. They bring back the O-line, a lot on defense, and they play their hardest games at home or on a neutral site. So you look at that schedule, the hardest games is K-State. Obviously, that's going to be a big game for me with these two week 1.
Yeah.
Iowa's at home, Arizona State's at home, and Kansas is at home. So the hardest games on their schedule are either a neutral at home. I think that's varies well. And I mean, Matt Campbell's just a really good coach, and he's got some dudes. He's got some continuity. I kind of getting slept on in the Big 12. I'm surprised coming off a really solid season. I mean, they were one of the top dogs. So I think there's other teams are kind of getting more hype, but that's kind of how Iowa State does it. They're kind of nose to the floor and just keeps grinding. And I love for them to get at least 8 wins there.
Don't mind that one. Do you have any more?
No. What you got?
Okay. My Big 12 champs is the Arizona State Sun Devils once again. I think the biggest thing is Coach Dillingham, and everybody's coming back. They have 17 returning starters. Their entire defense is back. They have 10 guys coming back on defense, and they just have a shit ton of momentum after their run last year. I think between the momentum that they built last year, all of the talent and production that they're bringing back, I just don't know if there's anybody that's necessarily going to knock them off their high horse this year. Like Texas Tech is probably, to me, their toughest game, but they have them at home. Iowa State's going to be a tough one at Iowa State, but I think they end up basically just rolling through the Big 12. Like you said, the Big 12 typically, if you're a 9-3 team,
You're getting
like
in.
you're probably in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
I think they can get at least 9, if not 10 wins based on the schedule, if not potentially 11. I think they slip up once or twice, but yeah, give me the Sun Devils.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to fade them, I will say. No Cam Scattaboo, so you do lose a stud in the backfield there to my New York Football Giants. But I do like Levitt. I do like Dillingham, and I do like that defense. So I don't mind that play at 550. I mean, hey, they just did it last year, so that's
Yep.
a pretty good number. All right, we are moving on here. We're going to talk playoffs, national championship. Really quickly, do you have any group of 5? I have a couple I'll just throw out
I do
really quick.
not.
We don't have to spend a lot of time on them. Southern Miss over 5.5 -110. You're gonna say, look, they won one game. They were 1-11 last year. What the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
If you don't know, Charles Huff, the head coach over at Marshall, who won the Sun Belt last year,
Yep.
he, for whatever reason, they didn't retain him, so he moved on to Southern Miss. He took the whole fucking Marshall team, and including Buxton there, the quarterback. And again, like this team, they just won the Sun Belt last year. And if you don't believe me, the entire team is transfers. Like he did the Dion and said, if you were on the roster last year, get the fuck out.
Come on in.
Yeah. So I mean, look, like, yeah, Southern Miss. That is not the Southern Miss of last year. It's basically Marshall team that was 10-3 last year and Sun Belt champions. So we're getting a nice price on over. Only need to get 6 wins. Only need to go bowling. You've got a coach that there's not this huge, like, he's got all these new players. A lot of them were with him last year. So I wanted to throw that one out there because I really like that play. And then there's one more team that I'll talk about that I'll actually talk about in the playoffs there because I got a little bit of dark horse. But I want to get to the Southern Miss one because I wanted to make sure that was out there because I really like that play this year. But, all right, how many playoff teams do you got?
2.
All right, so I will start us off here. Let's get the best one out of the way. Florida Gators plus 400, 4-1 at DraftKings. Yes, I did take them as soon as we won the national championship in basketball. If we remember what happened last time the Gators won in basketball. Yeah, back to back, baby. All right, but hey, this is the best roster we've had in a very long time. Okay, I'm not gonna go crazy talking about the Gators because I spent 2 hours on another show talking about the Florida Gators this year. College football experience. Check it out over with my boy Colby if you want to look into that. But DJ Lawgway, 6-1 as a starter. The only game he lost, he was leading against number 2 Georgia at the world's largest cocktail party, and he went out with an injury. Right, this kid is a winner. We got 4 out of 5 back on the offensive line. We have the best center in football in Jake Slater. We've got an NFL left tackle in Austin Barber. We have great skill positions. We have a running back duo of Jaden Ball and Jackson that are absolute studs. I think this is one of the most underrated wide receiver rooms in the nation. You bring in Sturdivant over from UCLA. Dallas Wilson is going to be a name you are going to know by the end of the year. He's a 5-star freshman. And then Eugene Wilson, who was hurt last season but came on as a freshman 2 years ago. And then you have a nasty defensive line. They have a brutal schedule. Absolutely have a brutal schedule.
Yep.
But I think 9-3 gets them in with this schedule. I'm not super high on Miami. I think LSU is a little bit fraudulent. I think Georgia with quarterback, I'm not super impressed with Gunnar Stockton. So I think they're, look, absolutely tough schedule.
Yep.
But if you're a good team, you get it done. 9 wins, knocks you into the playoffs there. Give me Florida 4-1.
I don't know if I can completely back you on that one.
What do you got?
But before I tell or talk about my first playoff team, remind me, how many SEC teams got in the playoff last year?
Oh gosh, how many? A shit ton, dude. Like fucking 6 or something.
It wasn't 6. It wasn't half.
It was 5.
I think it was 4.
4?
Texas,
Really?
Georgia, Tennessee.
Not Bama. Not South Carolina.
Was it just 3?
No way.
No,
Hold on.
One.
I'll look it up. You
look it up because I have Alabama winning the SEC. I think
Right.
Georgia and Texas are both solid teams.
Right.
And I don't think that, five or six of the 5 or 6 SEC teams are necessarily going to sneak in, because I
Wait, did
think
we say Texas?
Texas, Georgia,
Tennessee?
Tennessee,
Oh my gosh, I
just
can't
three.
remember. All right, keep going.
Anyways, I think 9-3's out.
9-3's out. Get
I
out
think
of
I
town,
think
bro.
9-3 is like on the verge. You might sneak one in, and I think Texas A&M goes in over your Gators.
Oh,
So give me
I hate
Texas
that.
A&M
Okay.
at plus 220 to get into the playoff. Mike Elko is a program builder, dude, and he
I do
just
like Elko.
revitalizes football programs like it's nothing. I mean, he did it with Duke, and if you can do it with Duke, you can do it with anybody. And Texas A&M has a hell of a lot better base to build off of than Duke did.
Lower
They were
academic
eight.
standards for sure.
Yeah, that's true too.
More money.
Yeah. I mean, they were 8-4 last year, and 15 guys are returning from last year's squad, including their starting quarterback in Reed. So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you got Notre Dame. You still have to play Texas, like you said. I'm a little bit down on LSU, but then they got your Gators at home, and I don't know if you're going to necessarily go into to
Outfield.
A&M and sneak a win out of there. So
Easy
I
money.
I think at Notre Dame is definitely going to be a tough one, and then Texas at home is going to be a tough one, kind of that in-state rival there. But I think they can take out LSU, and then I think they can take out Florida. So I think they end up going 10-2 and sneaking in the playoff as a wild or as an at-large bid.
Yeah. So only three SEC teams last year.
Really?
To your point.
Oh, wow.
And then A&M. I think A&M is gonna be a good squad this year. I will say they're perpetually the almost team. It happened a lot with Jimbo. Like they were almost good enough, and they spent
Yep.
all this money and stuff. So I do have that right now. I could definitely see that one of the losses on the Gator schedule. That will be a tough game, but so I don't hate it, but I like
Mhm.
my Gators 4-1 a little bit better. So we'll move on there. All right. Georgia Tech, the Yellow Jackets, plus
Okay.
730 over on FanDuel. I
Okay.
think this is one of the best quarterback running tandems, especially, quarterback running back tandems, especially in the running game. Haynes King, Jamal Haynes, they're running it back with Brent Key. This is one of the most tough and physical teams you're going to see. They are buying into that Brent Key system. They have a great offensive line, and they have a very, very manageable schedule with spots to earn massive W's in Clemson and Georgia. I mean, they really, really should have beat Georgia last year. That game was, the refs tried to give it to Georgia. Georgia Tech could just not finish the damn thing after like 8 overtimes over Thanksgiving weekend. I mean, it was an
Right.
awesome game, but as a Georgia hater, it was so painful to not see them finish that. But man, they go to Colorado post Shadur Sanders,
Yep.
post Travis Hunter. So I
Yep.
think that's a good way to get them. They've got really easy schedule other than like at Duke, but again, it's Clemson and it's Georgia. And even if you lose those games and you go 10-2, you're probably in the ACC championship and can fight your way in. Or especially if you go 11-1 and you beat one of those teams, you're getting in no matter what. So I get they were right there against Georgia last year. I do
Right.
like Clemson this year. I think that's going to be a tough game, but at least you get them at home. And then Georgia's in a neutral site there instead of Athens. It's I think it's Mercedes Benz or whatever, which is very dumb by Georgia Tech to play that. But
Right.
I think it's the sending team, and I think they got a really nice schedule and some spots that if they beat Georgia or Clemson, they're in if they run the table like I expect them to. So at plus 730, I think that's a great price for a nice little bit of a long shot dark horse. So give me the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets to sneak in the playoffs there.
Okay. Okay. Again, I don't know if I can fully back that one, but my last play is I think it's going to be a pretty big year for the big state of Texas.
Uh-oh.
Obviously, the Longhorns are preseason ranked number 1. I think Texas A&M has a great shot at getting in the playoff. I also think Texas Tech has a pretty good shot at making the playoff at plus 450. They have 12 guys coming back, including the starting quarterback, and their schedule just lines up great. And we already mentioned it in the Big 12. Like, if you go 9-3, you're probably at least getting in the Big 12 championship game,
Right.
or at least have a really good shot at it. So if they get in the chip at 9-3, they got a shot. I think they go 10-2, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to go to Utah. Definitely a tough game. They got Arizona State at home, and they have K-State as well. So, I mean, I think if you win one of those 3 games,
Right.
you're at least in the Big 12 championship game, and kind of in that outside realm of getting in the playoff as an at-large bid. But yeah, like I said, if you can just get in that Big 12 championship game, anything can happen, and they might sneak in that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, Texas Tech, I'll tell you this, that the way they're spending money, they're going to be a problem for years to come
Yeah.
for teams. So absolutely there. It's just about that quarterback, and Morton, I believe is his name. He just needs to stay healthy. He's had
Right.
trouble staying healthy. So, but yeah, I don't mind that, especially at the price there. All right, I've got one more for the playoff, and then we'll move on to national championship. And if you weren't in on my other two, you need to buy stock in this team right now.
Oh, here we go.
The
80 to 1,
San
huh?
Jose State Spartans over 7.5 wins at plus 104 to win the Mountain West at plus 850. And when they come in as Mountain West champions and they get this at-large bid, they are going to get in the college football playoff as 80 to 1 odds here.
I was right. Nice.
That's my Cinderella
80 to
story.
1.
80
San
to
Jose
1
State.
San Jose State, 80 to 1 odds to get in there.
Little
Sprinkle, little pizza bet here.
Okay.
So here's what it is: 7-5 last season. Head coach Ken Niamataloto there, coming from Navy, who I don't know why Navy got rid
Absolute
of him.
dog. Yeah,
I don't
like
understand that. Multiple double-digit wins at Navy,
Right.
which again, if you can do it at Navy, not having the transfer portal, not getting any of really help at all, you got who you got, and you got to figure it out.
Right.
You've got a redshirt senior quarterback in Walker Leggett coming back. They avoid Boise State. They avoid Colorado State. They avoid UNLV, the top 3 teams from last season. And their non-con is Central Michigan, Idaho, Stanford, and then they play Texas, which obviously is going to be a little tough.
Yeah.
So, look, I mean, on this schedule, they're outside of Texas. I don't see a for sure loss on this schedule. You've got, again, Idaho and the FCS, Stanford, who's there. It's a team that just lost their head coach. I think they have the potential to be one of the worst teams in college football. You've got Nevada, San Diego State, Fresno State, Air Force. Like, I do not see a for sure loss on this schedule. I think that they have a beautiful opportunity to get to the Mountain West Championship because of their schedule. And then everyone loves Boise and UNLV. I'm not super high on UNLV. I've done the Dan Mullen experience. I don't think he's going to work out there. And I think Boise, again, I know it wasn't all Ashton Jeanty, but damn, Ashton Jeanty did a lot for that team.
Yep.
So I think that, this is a team that, based on their schedule, they can easily get over the win total. They can get in the Mountain West Championship. And, if they can beat Boise, UNLV or whatever, if you're 11-1, 12-1, and you're a Mountain West champion, I don't think they can keep you out.
Right.
So at an 80 to 1, obviously it's a very long shot. But if that scenario plays out, I think, similar to what we saw with Boise State, a 1-loss Mountain West champion who played Oregon pretty well, they were in pretty damn easily into the playoffs. So I think we can potentially see San Jose State's team be that darling this year and come in at that at-large bid. We're 90 minutes in, my boy. I'm losing it. So
after your synopsis there, I might also have to.
It's 80 to 1, man. It's college football, baby. This is what we live for.
Throw a little sprinkle on that one. Yeah.
I
don't mind.
Natty?
Yeah, let's talk Natty.
I think this is it, Natty, and we wrap up here. I think 90 minutes is probably enough because we'll be back next week talking college football. transparency, peel the curtain back. We don't tell each other our plays. We have them on a sheet here, and I'm just seeing your pick. This is interesting. So I don't know if we're not gonna announce it together, but looks like we're gonna be
So
double teaming here.
yeah, so I talked a little bit about this team earlier. I'll let you kind of go on a run, but I think we're both on Clemson at the number that they are right now, and that's 11-1.
Yes.
Yeah, I think between the returning production, obviously Dabo's still there. You got Klubnik, who's kind of a Heisman front runner at this point. Like, go ahead and talk a little bit about the Clemson
Yes,
Tigers.
we both have the Clemson Tigers at 11-1 as your 2025 national champions here. Look, not only do I like them, not only do you like them, part of being a smart person is knowing you're not the smartest person in the room. Got Phil Steele here. He
There you
loves
go.
them. We've got our pick six previews. If you don't have these, this is my resources that I utilize here because there's a shit ton of teams in college football.
Yeah.
Dude, Clemson is one of those teams that like people understand they're good, but they have so many good players at
So
so
much
many
talent.
positions, and
Yep.
I think they bring back the QB1 in the nation right now. For me, it would be Cade Klubnik based
Yeah.
on he's got playoff experience. He took a roster that I don't think was nearly as good last season and really kind of elevated them, especially down the stretch, ACC championship.
Yeah.
Played admirably against Texas. I don't think it was the offense that was a problem in that Texas game. It was really the defense that had to figure it out.
Mhm.
Now they have guys that are coming back here. I think one, they got to get there, and you laid out the case perfectly for the ACC. They
Yeah.
should walk away with the ACC, right? So that's the huge step is getting a ticket to the dance.
Yep.
I think they run through the ACC. They get that first round bye. They only have to win.
Yeah.
What is it?
I
3
mean,
games.
SMU is probably going to be their biggest competition again in the ACC, and they got them at home in week
Right.
like 7. So
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. No, I love and the ACC championship games in Charlotte, right up the road there.
yep.
So love for them to get there, and I just think that 11-1 is crazy for me. Like they're clearly talent and wise. They got the pedigree, everything to be in that upper tier, but
Yep.
they're priced like they're just outside looking in. And
Right.
I think this is where for us the value is just too good. I think they should honestly be one of the co-favorites with Penn State, Texas, Georgia. Like I think they like to get them past 10-1. I think is an absolute
You
steal.
missed the team there. That could be a co-favorite.
You guys again, hangover. Don't worry about it. So, but yeah, I don't know if you got anything else, but I
No.
had to literally be like, dude, why do I like? There's so much is lining up for Clemson right now.
Yeah, I think the value of the price that is on Clemson, like it
Yeah,
was a no doubt pick for me. Like, yes, I think that Texas is going to be pretty good. I think the Buckeyes are going to be pretty good.
right.
Um, I think both of those teams make it into the playoff, but the numbers just a little bit too steep for me.
Yeah.
Um,
And they
so
have
yeah,
harder paths. Big
yeah,
Ten, SEC, like they could get tripped up a lot more than you're going to get in the ACC.
definitely
Because you got to get there, right? So
right.
no, I love
Gotta
it.
get in the dance.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say here before we sign off, Florida Gators are 40-1 to win the national championship. Just throw that out
Oh
there
boy, here we go.
in case you want a little bit of a long shot. As you can tell, college football is fun, baby. You should be having some long shots, but
No
again,
doubt.
obviously, gamble responsibly and more units on the plays that are more realistic. We gave out a ton.
Yeah, I can't blow my load on the Gators to win the Natty. Come on now.
Yeah, because you got to have San Jose State to get in the playoff.
I think I like that better, to be honest.
80-1. I'm telling you right now, you're gonna be kicking yourself if it freaking hits and you're on this show with me for 90 minutes. All right. Obviously, we're excited college football. We are, almost an hour and 40 in.
Yep.
If you're at this point, one, you're a maniac. We appreciate you. Thank you. Show us some love. We are stoked to talk college football this year. We are going to have a weekly college football best bet show that is going to be
Yep.
starting next week. It should be coming out every Wednesday, if not Tuesday there. We're going to be we'll do a 6-pack of our favorite 6 plays for the week. So
Yep.
check out our week 0 and week 1 picks for next week there. Anything you got for the people before we get up on out of here?
People, we have 9 days. We got to make it 9 days, and there will be actual college football taking place on our televisions, and it's going to be awesome. In the meantime, like Seb said, we'll be throwing some content out along the way. We'll be doing a college football episode next week. I'll be doing some bets kind of stuff, more so for the NFL again,
Right.
with some Survivor pick'ems kind of stuff the week after that. We still got stuff coming out for fantasy over on the IDP Bets fantasy page. So keep looking out. If you are looking for any particular content ideas, throw them our way. We're more than happy to at least run them past each other.
Yeah.
But as always, like, subscribe, follow, do all the things on all of the social media stuff, obviously here on YouTube. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, look, take this as your sign. Start preparing for tailgating. Start drinking some beers in the morning. It's good for you. Start getting it ready. We got to start getting ready to tailgate. Start getting ready for the fall.
Yep.
Tell your friends, no fucking fall weddings. All right. We got to lock in. But look, most importantly, we hope you enjoyed the episode. We hope you have fun. We want to make you some money and have fun doing it with you this season. So we hope you join us. Like, comment, subscribe, all the good things. As a newer channel, we appreciate every single one. It really does help us. Lets our bosses know we're not just a bunch of blabbing idiots, which we are, but hey, profitable blabbing idiots. That's what we hope to be. So, but look, folks, from the DGen Doc and Professor Locks here at IDP Plus Bets, we are out of here.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.